Welcome to the Adoption Side by Side podcast, because no one should have to walk the adoption journey alone. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Steph. We walk the journey together, and we want to walk it with you if you'll have us.
Good morning, everyone. We're very excited to introduce today's guest. So if you have been following our previous episodes, I believe it was pretty much episode 1, our first point on how we met. We mentioned a friend, or in Steph's case, a friend of a friend, named Katie, who started us on this private adoption journey. So we are really blessed that Katie has enthusiastically agreed to share her story today. Our setup's a little different. Usually our guest is on Zoom. Today, Steph is on Zoom and Katie's in person. So we'll see how that goes. But Katie, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
So also, if you followed our episodes, if you've listened to our episode with my friend Sarah, who did the Birth Mom's Perspective, we met through theater. Ironically, Katie and I met through the same theater group, and I believe pretty much the same show. We said we might have met a little bit earlier in a previous show that her brother was in. So that would have been 2006.
Yeah, I think that's what we said, 2006.
Yep. And then Katie and I won't say we've lost contact, but we haven't seen each other in person since forever.
Yeah.
But it was because of seeing Katie's posts about her upcoming adoption and then her wonderful news of adoption that really started my husband and I on this journey. So today we're going to go on Katie's journey with her. So Katie, we've talked. She shared a lot with me as we considered this process. So it was quite the journey that led you and Matt to meeting your son.
Oh, yes.
So can you describe that process?
Absolutely.
All right.
So, I mean, it goes back years. Probably back in 2015, I found out I have a BRCA2 gene, which is basically a genetic gene that you're a little bit more prone to getting like certain cancers. My mom had the gene and unfortunately had lost her battle with cancer. So it was just something I knew that we needed to look down the road on what we wanted to do. So we actually had started IVF treatments to try to not pass down the gene. So we did that whole process of that. So that would have been in 2017, early. We had done 2 retrievals. We ended up having 1 failed transfer, 2 miscarriages, and then the 4th transfer was failed as well. At that point, it was just unexplained infertility. So we had kind of went down the route of fostering after that. Honestly, the price of private infant adoption kind of scared us at that point. We had already spent a lot on IVF. We didn't think we could really swing private infant adoption at the time. So we decided to do fostering. So it was in mid to early 2019, we started the process for fostering. And it was early 2020 is when we became active. And then around July of 2020, we were placed with a 2-day-old baby. And she was so adorable. We got the phone call and we took her in immediately. Unfortunately, she was only with us for about 2 weeks. They had found a family to foster her. So they removed her from our home. She went to family. And then we had 2 weeks off. And then we got a phone call in the middle of the night for a teenager. She came in at like 2 a.m. and she stayed with us for about 5 months. And those 5 months were the most challenging 5 months we had been through. And after that, that was when we kind of had decided, you know what, we want to pursue private infant adoption. It was just the heartache of getting attached. And then, and I understand fostering is, the goal is reunification, absolutely. But the system kind of sometimes can just feel not as beneficial for the child. So we had decided to do private infant adoption at that point. I had talked to CYS. They had given us a local agency to do our home study. So we did a lot of research and we were trying to decide if we wanted to do like a consultant group or just do a regular private agency. And after doing a lot of research, we had decided to go with Journey, which is the consultant group you guys went with. We absolutely love Journey. Now, we did not end up doing our adoption through them, but we had signed up with them. We were getting our home study done through the local agency not too far away from us. So at the time that we were doing our home study, CYS had come back to us and said, hey, the first child that you had, the 2-day-old baby, she is up for adoption. Rights have been terminated. Are you interested in adopting her? We said, absolutely. We had told the private infant adoption agency, we had told them, like, hey, we might be adopting. She was like, well, I'm not going to charge you for your home study yet in case we go through with the other adoption. So we kind of put everything on hold. She still did our home study. And we were in the process still with Journey doing our whole...
The profile book?
Yes, yes.
I remember because you showed me you're partially done.
Yeah, we were pretty much done with our whole profile book and everything. So we had like 3 things going at once. So we were just doing it all. And then one evening, the owner of the agency was just out walking the town and had run into one of the CYS workers and was like, oh, how's the adoption going for Katie and Matt? The foster child that we had. And she was like, oh, they must not have told you, like, we just found out it fell through. They're not adopting. Unfortunately, it did not work out. The next day, our son's bio parents had called the agency wanting to place him up for adoption. And they had very strict guidelines of what they wanted. They wanted a completely closed adoption. They wanted him to go to a family that could not have children. She did not have any clients that met that criteria. So she called me the next day and was like, hey, I have a bio family looking to place their son up for adoption. Are you interested? I said, absolutely. And so she met with the bio parents the next day. They didn't really want to know names. They didn't want to know photos. Nothing. They just wanted her to pick out a family, and that was it. So she met with them. She felt that it was a good match. And then 2 weeks later, he was born. So, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. I went on like a whole
No, that was perfect.
ramble there. But
no,
yeah.
like I said, it was a journey.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
you had
absolutely.
so many different factors.
Yeah,
that
it's
led.
like if one thing didn't happen, then like most likely this would not have happened. It just felt so meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we talk a lot in our stories about how God just allows certain things to happen or not happen to get you to the door you're supposed to walk through.
Right.
So when he was born, did you meet him the same day? Was it a couple days later?
It was the same day. So where he was born, it was about a 3-hour travel. So it was still in the state of Pennsylvania. But it was still about 3 hours away from where we lived. The hospital was supposed to call the cell phone of the agency.
Okay.
They had the wrong phone number. They called the office. So she did not by the time she got into the office, he was already born. So by the time we got there, he had already been born. It was probably at least like 3 or 4 hours. Okay. So, but with it being closed, when we got there, basically, as soon as we got to the hospital, they locked us in our room. We had to stay in our hospital room until the bio parents left because they didn't want that possible interaction where, like, if I was out in the hallway and bio dad was in the hallway, that they wanted to respect their wishes of a completely closed adoption. So that was a little bit interesting that when I got there, they're like, just so you know, you will be locked in until they completely leave the facility.
Wow.
So...
yeah, that's very different than the experience of like this open or semi-open.
Right.
Yeah.
It isn't because like for us, we were on different floors from Biomon because we weren't to see her and she wasn't to see us. So we weren't locked in, but the hospital was large enough. And since there were the 2 different floors, she was on a floor. We didn't know what floor and we were on a floor. And so that's how like a semi-open, but for us, more closed in a sense in that
Right.
regards, where she had seen pictures of us, but it was stated prior that we were not to have any interaction at the hospital. We would not be meeting each other or anything like that. So
Okay.
that I always find that piece very interesting of how the bio family wants things to go and how
Right.
everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
Was there a reason they wanted it so close, or you don't know?
I honestly don't know. So we know
Okay.
a little bit about the bio family. Like they filled out paperwork and things like that. So like we know some. I feel like it maybe would have just been too hard
Okay.
to have like an open or semi-open adoption. I believe they really did struggle with the decision of placing him up for adoption, especially with them making the decision so late.
Right.
Like within 2 weeks of being born. That's
Wow.
kind of when they had finally made their decision. So I can't say one way or the other. I kind of
I'm
wish
with
it
you.
was a little bit open, honestly. But I just think it would be not easier, but I think it would be beneficial for him to be able to have that side of, to kind of know that a little bit. But
Right. Because I feel like it's so, at least in private adoption, very encouraged. We have as much openness as possible.
right.
And it is unique now to have the fully closed that you haven't seen each other's photos.
Right.
And from your understanding of folks that have the more open adoptions, do you feel there are some aspects that it's easier, harder? I know you said you would like them to be, you would like your son to be able to have that piece.
Right.
But
I don't know if it would necessarily be easier or harder, but I feel like it may help the child as they get older to kind of maybe understand themselves a little bit better. I mean, we're not to that stage yet.
Right.
I mean, our son is 4, so it's not like he would really he doesn't quite understand the concept of adoption, but we
Sure.
still talk to him about it.
yeah.
But I
Can
feel
you share
like
what you do at this stage to talk with him about adoption?
so we have like a scrapbook, and we update the scrapbook every like year or so. So like when we first got to the hospital, we obviously took photos, and we have that in there, and like his hospital band, things like that, and just kind of just scrapbook photos as the years go on. And we kind of just sit down and talk to him about adoption and that like he grew in another like mommy's belly, and that she loved him so much that she just wanted a little bit more. Like it's difficult,
And
but
the wording's always hard, right?
I know
Like,
it is, and
yeah.
like it's just kind of sitting down and talking to him, and like I think as he gets older, it'll be a little bit easier to kind of explain it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So you had another plot twist in your story that came after the adoption of
Yes.
your son. Do you want to
Yes.
share that plot twist?
Yeah. So, right when our son was born, I had found out that I was severely anemic. There was a major underlying anemic issue that had gone untreated for years, which goes back to probably why all the IVF rounds didn't work. That's kind of what we had pinpointed it to now. But so right when he was born, that's whenever I found out. I had gotten multiple iron infusions. And then December, the week of Christmas, 2020, found out I was pregnant.
Surprise!
And honestly, I just kind of thought it would just end up in a miscarriage because all the others had just, I mean, I had been pregnant multiple times. I mean, even after the IVF rounds, I had been pregnant. Just it never carried to full term. So I was just expecting another, but then it didn't, and carried to a full term healthy pregnancy, and yeah, now we have our little daughter. So
And how far apart are they in age?
exactly 15 months to the day.
Ooh. That's a lot in a good way.
Yes,
in a good
way, yes.
But that's a lot to manage.
Yes, but Lincoln and Sutton, they absolutely love each other. I can't imagine not having them together at this age even. Like, as challenging as it is definitely worth it.
It's definitely God's plan for your family.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of families, they talk about, when they're thinking about adoption, they have this anxiety around, will my adopted child bond with me? And could I bond with them the same as I could a biological child? So you have one of each, very close in age. So what would you say to people who have those questions?
Honestly, it's not something I ever was concerned about. I don't think that ever went through my mind. So I feel like we never had that issue. When Lincoln was born, when we got to the hospital, like one of the first things we did was skin to skin contact. Like we both my husband and I did it, and I feel like that definitely helped a lot. But we never really had that feeling of, we never bonded. It was pretty much as soon as we saw him, it was like instant, like that is our child, like he is ours. Like, so I feel like if you have that concern, I think once you kind of see your child, all of that's gonna just completely wash away. Now I don't know if that's how it was for you.
No, it definitely was. Like, I never really had that fear. I feel like my husband did a little bit.
Okay.
Just his family, he just is like, he loves like his family heritage and
Okay.
like all of those like stories from childhood and passed down from great great grandpa. And he's like, what if they are just not interested? And he said like the second we were there, it was gone.
Yeah.
Like it just went away. And I mean, obviously everyone's different.
Right.
I mean, you can have, even when you give birth, some moms, when they go through postpartum, they have a horrible time trying to feel that connection. And so it's not to shame anyone that maybe is experiencing that emotion with a bio child or an adopted child. But I do feel like that's generally what you hear, is that you are able to connect pretty quickly.
Yeah, we definitely were able to connect very quickly.
Yeah. And do you feel like, does Lincoln have any understanding of his story is a little different than Sutton's story, based on, or you feel like it's just, you're not quite at that age yet? That
we're not quite at that age yet, no.
Yeah.
So we try to incorporate things. So like my daughter obviously looks a lot like me, but Lincoln looks just kind of like us as well. Like he looks so similar.
Yeah, I've always thought that. I always think Lincoln actually really looks a lot like you.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
Everyone says that. Yeah. So like, for instance, Sutton has brown eyes. My husband has brown eyes. So we're always like, oh, you have eyes like daddy. Lincoln has blue eyes. And I'm like, you have blue eyes like mommy. And so whether that's good or bad to do, I don't know. But we kind of incorporate that, like, oh, you kind of have traits of mommy, or you kind of have traits of daddy, or things like that.
So, Katie, back to talking about the journey of you and Matt becoming parents. There were obviously many challenges over multiple years. Are you willing to share things that you did that helped you get through those times, whether it was tangible things or emotional things, and who your biggest cheerleaders were?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we definitely had some people that weren't 100% for the adoption, and we just kind of tuned that out. We just kind of focused on the people that were super for the adoption. Like I said, there were some people, but we had more people that were cheering for us than not cheering for us. So we really put our time and energy into that. At the time, we were involved in a gym that was basically our community at the time. We were so invested, and we had such a huge community, and we had people that were supporting us left and right, and it was awesome. So that's kind of where we put a lot of our time and energy. They helped out with fundraisers, and they were just there to help support. And honestly, some of the people, we didn't tell a lot of people about the adoption at first with Lincoln because we were afraid that it could potentially fall through. So there were a handful of people in our community that we told, mainly because we have dogs. And it was like, all right, when we get the phone call, like, we're going to have to pick up and go. Like, we're going to need to have X, Y, and Z covered when we leave. So we didn't even tell family about the adoption, about Lincoln, until I want to say about 5 days before he was born. We kept that pretty secretive, but to the people that we were pretty close with in our community, we leaned very heavily on them. And that is definitely what kind of got us through, was to kind of use them and have that support. So,
and because you live in PA and adopted within the state of Pennsylvania.
Which is terrifying, by the way.
It is. That's exactly what I was going to say. So, and people, I don't know what all states maybe listeners are from. There are states that are considered adoption friendly, and there are states that are absolutely not considered adoption friendly, which is our great state of Pennsylvania. I do love Pennsylvania, not knocking Pennsylvania.
PA is actually kind of like in the middle, honestly.
Is it?
Like, I looked at Rhode Island, and Rhode Island, I think, is like bio parents can change their mind up until like 5 years later, even after the court hearing has happened.
Wow.
Yes.
I thought 6 months was bad.
Yeah. Is PA at 6 months? Is that
so? PA is until you get the birth certificate. So however long it takes to get the birth certificate. So
Steph, that would have been a nightmare for you with your birth certificate journey.
Seriously.
So with us, Lincoln was born in May, and we did not get his birth certificate till the very end of August. So bio parents could have changed their mind up until the day of the court hearing, which I love our agency. I love Lois. That's who owns it. The day of his adoption, his court hearing, she calls me and she was like, "Hey, guess where I was last night?" And she says the town name of where Lincoln was born. And she goes, "The adoption fell through." My heart sunk. I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And she was like, "Oh, no, not your adoption. Another adoption."
Oh my gosh.
I was like, "Lois, no, we can't do this on the day of our court hearing." She's like, "Everything's okay with your adoption." I'm like, "Well, you should have started off with that."
Really should have. That's terrifying.
So, but yeah, like every phone call from the time that he was born up until the day of his court hearing, like every phone call, either from her or like an unknown number, it was like, my heart sunk. It was like, all right, is this where like he's gonna be taken away? Like that they want like him back. So it was definitely nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that would be extremely hard. Yeah. Like I think that people, when they hear about a lot of private adoption, they kind of think of that time that maybe you're in the hospital for 48 or 72 hours and you don't know, and they're like, that's so challenging. I'm thinking, well, try PA in-state adoption. I mean, I can't even imagine. What would you say was the greatest lesson learned throughout this journey to becoming parents?
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Patience. That one, patience. That one, I'm still learning.
I think we all are.
I think we will always be learning that one, but just being patient and being graceful with yourself. You're going to make mistakes, and just learning to kind of get through those, and no parent is perfect, and just doing your best, and all you can do is love your child. And
absolutely. Yeah.
So, Katie, what's your best piece of advice or encouragement to those considering growing their family through adoption or even foster care?
Don't be scared. You'd be surprised on the community you're going to find. Even if you feel that it might be lonely at first, there's so many people out there that I think have stories to share, and you'd be surprised on who has kind of gone through that journey as well. Just if it's something that is pulling at your heart to do, then do it. I think it's very special and unique, and if it's something that is kind of pulling you to do that, then absolutely go for it. So that would be kind of what I would say.
It's that leap of faith.
Yes.
It can be scary.
Yes,
it can be
it can
scary
be.
to start. And as Katie has documented, it can be a journey.
Yes.
It can be a process.
Yes. And it can go all different routes. I mean, it started out with IVF from us, to fostering, to adoption, to birthing a child. No matter what type of plan you set, God's plan is going to be what it is. So no matter what you set in stone, that can always change. So
something I've said before to Katie was how much I appreciated what she put out on the internet, because at the time I think I first saw about private adoption with you was when you were fundraising, when you signed up with Journey.
Yes.
You were starting into that realm, and I remember when we talked, you had said how much you just hoped even if putting it out there helped even one family.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
very genuinely, I don't think I would have my son if you hadn't done that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you being bold, and
that makes me.
yeah, it was the perfect timing for my husband and I to see it in just like a way that it was absolutely God. But if you had not followed that and taken that for yourself, so just know you have impacted us in the biggest way possible.
Well, I'm glad to have brought you two together, because
yeah, and you brought us together too.
So that you guys had that journey to kind of walk through together. But yeah, when we started the journey, I wanted to kind of, so like where we live, it's not where I grew up at. So when I was posting a lot of it on Facebook, it was kind of to really keep everyone in loop, the family and friends that didn't live near us. So just to kind of keep them in the loop and things like that. I just really wanted to be able to kind of share our story and journey and things like that. So I am very glad that I was able to kind of help you and lead you to your son.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was definitely your post at the, I mean, I remember being in this, we were at a conference, we were out of our normal space, and been really praying about that, been praying at the conference about it. And that was the day you posted that you brought Lincoln home. And I was like,
so it was the day that we brought him home. It wasn't even like...
No, I mean, it started there. Like, I was
Okay.
absolutely watching it and saying like, oh, like, look at this whole, like, what is private adoption? And I just remember like looking, we were in the swimming pool at the conference. Cause that's what you do when you go to church conference is you get in the swimming pool. And I was like, Bryson, Katie did it. She has a baby. Like, maybe this is a possibility. And it was just, the timing was wild. And
Yeah.
so it was just great. And I'm glad that even though we were not in as close proximity to each other as we were growing up, that we could watch that online. And I appreciated that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Katie, and for sharing your story. It's a beautiful and unique story, and we are so thankful that you were willing to share it with us. So just let us close in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we are just so thankful for Katie and Matt and their beautiful children that you have blessed them with, both through adoption and biologically. And we just pray that you would bless their beautiful family as they all continue to grow and learn and navigate the waters of helping their son learn about adoption and why his story is special and unique for him. And we just pray that those who are listening today would feel your love and your presence as they make the decision whether to adopt, to do foster care, or to proceed in a different way to grow their family. For we know that you have plans for each of us, and they are all unique and special. We thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can find us on any major podcast platform and on Instagram, Adoption Side by Side, to listen to more episodes and follow along in our personal adoption journeys as they change.